Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hobart Bay Sports Network. I am your host Justin Winter, and it is time for the December Drama Selection Show. For some, there will be drama in their position. For some, not really. We know where they are. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. In the one spot is Hobart Bay 12-1 Pac-12 champions. No surprise there. Number one heading into conference championship week, and then wiped out a team with their backups. So obviously Hobart Bay is going to be your number one spot. Number two goes to Clemson, 12-1 ACC champs. There were no undefeated teams this year, not that I remember anyway. So Clemson getting the number two spot, sort of a dose of reality right there. Number three goes to Auburn, 12-1 SEC champions. Good team. They fought through a lot of stuff. Their only loss of the season was against Oklahoma, who wound up imploding, even though Oklahoma had all the talent in the world, kind of like Texas A&M in real life. Number four, Boise State at 10-2. They could have gone for a Pac-12 conference title if they hadn't lost to Hobart Bay by throwing that pick six right at the end. Oh well, sucks to be them. They're still number four though. Great spot. Number five, Georgia Tech, the ACC runner-up at 10-3. I know, 10-3, getting the number 5 spot seems kind of high, but there's a lot of parity this year, actually. Number 6, Washington, who lost to Washington State at the end of the season. Otherwise, you would see them right there at that 4 spot. Nonetheless, the pollsters still respect Washington a lot, even though they are 9-3. 3 good losses, that's what they were. UCF, out of the Big 12, did not go to the Big 12 title game despite being 10-2. They take the 7 spot. And number 8 is Michigan, 10-3, Big 10 champions. Big 10 title did not get them enough to surpass UCF apparently. Number 9 goes to Northern Illinois, the MAC champions, 12-1. And I think that's about as high as you can rank a 12-1 team, group of 5 school, so we'll have to see how Northern Illinois does. They'll get an easier opponent, still a top 25 opponent, but an easier opponent. We'll see if they're legit. 10 goes to TCU, 10-3. Hard to see the logo there, but they did win the Big 12. So you're a Big 12 champion right there at number 10. 11 is Cincinnati, who was 11-1 going into the Big 12 championship game. Lost that. If they had won it, I surmise they would probably be the 4 spot right now. But they didn't. They lost to TCU. That might be the second time this year. I don't know. No, UCF lost to TCU earlier this year. So, yeah. Washington State takes the 12 spot at 8-4. But do remember, this is the Pac-12 North. And in this dynasty, that is the toughest division in college football. So, 8-4. They would have been on the ropes if they had lost to Washington. But then they beat Washington, and that just shot them way far up. We'll see if that ranking is justified in the end. 13 is Florida State, 9-3, solid season. 14, South Florida. They are the American Conference champions. Just forgot to asterisk them. So they are the American Conference champions. Good team, 11-2. They spent some years in the SEC, so they got used to better competition. We'll have to see if that translates to on-the-field play in this great tournament. 15 is Minnesota, 10-2 from a Power 5 school. You would expect a better spot, but they didn't beat anyone. They lost to some bad teams, so they only get the 15 spot. 16 is Nebraska, the team that lost to Michigan in the Big 12 championship game. They had a great year this year, only 4 losses including that conference championship. I look forward to seeing what they can do. 17 is Wyoming at 10-3. They were top 10 going into conference championship week, but then they lost. So they get the 17th spot. They get to face Nebraska. 18 is Ohio State at 8-4. So you expect the Buckeyes to do better. They didn't, but they still make the tournament. We'll see if they can come in clutch. 19 is Fresno State. They won the Mountain West. And I'm curious to see how they will do. I don't know how they're going to do, but I feel like they could make a run, but I'm not sure. I don't know. 20 is Arkansas State, Sun Belt champions. Remember, Sun Belt champions are not guaranteed a spot in December drama, but going 10-2 as a group of 5 school is still good enough to make it. And they were the Sun Belt champions, so just add the asterisk. 21 Rutgers. I don't think anyone saw Rutgers coming out this season and just doing stuff that no one expected. I mean, 8-4? No one ever sees that out of Rutgers, so very nice to see them here. 22 Marshall, your Conference USA champions at 11-2. We'll see if they can make a run. 23 Miami. Miami was top 10, and then they lost 2 games in a row to end the regular season, missing the ACC championship game. They're kind of like UCLA, except they started their collapse later, so who knows? Will the collapse continue into December drama? Only time will tell. 24 Wake Forest. Wake Forest went 7-5, and they still got themselves ranked. That is how crazy and tumultuous the bottom half of the rankings have been. Like 20 through 25, they were just losing left and right. So Wake Forest, 7-5, they still managed to make it, and they wouldn't be here if they hadn't beat Georgia Tech earlier this season. It's the only reason why. And Michigan State also took advantage of the tumultuous bottom rankings. They're also 7-5. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. We'll just have to see how they do. I think Michigan State gets Michigan. Wake Forest gets Northern Illinois, so we'll see how that goes. Arkansas gets number 26. They were guaranteed a spot. They went 8-5. New Mexico, 9-3, still good enough to make it. They had shots at the Rose Bowl and other big bowls earlier in the Dynasty. We'll see if this 9-3 team can get anything done. Penn State only played 11 games, but 7-4 was still good enough to make it. Oregon, 7-5, did make it. Remember, Pac-12 North, that's really the reason why. I think if they were in the Southern Division, they wouldn't have made it. But in the North, with Washington, Hobart, Bay, Boise State, even Washington State, like those are some tough teams. So Oregon, they got grace because of their division. 30th is Buffalo. They were guaranteed a spot because they were ranked going into Conference Championship Week. Even if they weren't, they would still be in though. 31 is Alabama. 7-5, Alabama. They still make it. Part of me wonders if that's because of their prestige or if it's genuinely because they won against a bunch of teams, but they're in. I mean, we see 7-5 teams with much higher rankings, so it's not really that much of a surprise. And then finally, the last team making December drama this year is Kansas State, the Wildcats at 8-4. Why are they below teams such as Wake Forest, Michigan State, Alabama, Oregon? Well, simple. It's because the Big 12 was kind of weak this year. The Big 12 this year had Cincinnati, UCF, and TCU, and that was it. Everyone else genuinely sucked. Like, it was a terrible conference. Kansas State barely got into this tournament. And that is it. That is all 32 teams that will be in this year's tournament. I look forward to all the matchups. It's going to be a wild and great time. And remember, I've done simulations before, and believe me, anything can happen. So the bracket will look like this on the 1-4 side. You can see right there. It's going to be real fun. I know that every single one of these that I do, they are fantastic. Here's the right side, the 2-3 side. Ooh, oh my goodness, I just realized Washington and Hobart Bay are on opposite sides of the bracket. They could face each other in the championship game. I kind of want it to be Clemson because Clemson has Warren Harris, but Washington could make a run, so watch out. Anyway, Hobart Bay's opponent is Kansas State, and wow, Kansas State sort of sucks. They're a C+ overall team, and they still made, this might wind up being a blowout. Kansas State is led by Eric McCoy. He's had it was a good season. 207 for 349, 2,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 picks. They're not elite numbers, but they're good, I guess. We've seen much better. And that goes for talent as well. He's a pure pocket passer. He won't be running anywhere. So that will end the December Drama Selection Show. I hope to see you on this Saturday. Hobart Bay will kick off the first ever December Drama game against the Kansas State Wildcats. I do hope to see you there, but until then, make sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and have a nice day.